Hello, welcome to Retro Cheese Review, where we watch cheesy movies and retro movies with my friends and family. Today, we have Phil with us.
Hello.
He will be reviewing with me Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, The Secret of the Ooze, a 1991 gem. Great movie. Not as good as the first, and way better than the third. So getting into this movie, so first we're going to do our nostalgia review. As a kid, even as a child, I did not like it as much as the first, but I still loved it. I would say as a child, I would have given the first one a 6 out of 5, and I would have probably still given this one a 5 out of 5. Loved it. How about you?
Oh, definitely the same. Like, first movie, blew my mind as a kid, especially growing up on the cartoon, and then you see them, live action.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, blows your mind.
Yeah, and getting into a few facts about this movie that I didn't even know as a kid. Well, first we're going to dive into Rotten Tomatoes. The critics' score is 35%, which is, I'm just going to bluntly say this, fuck the critics.
Hachi-machi!
They're wrong. And the audience score was 67%, and I'm still not sure why it's that low, because you get trash movies coming out that get great Rotten Tomatoes ratings. And this one's just undeservingly low. I think with a lot of these, as I've mentioned in past videos, these late 80s, early 90s movies don't know what they are, and I think people who aren't from that time get confused by it. It was a weird time. The hair was weird, costumes were weird, that kind of thing. But getting into a few facts about this movie that I didn't realize as a kid. One, they replaced almost the entire cast. I don't know if you knew that, Phil. It's a different April O'Neil. And she looks exactly the same, but it's a completely different actress. And I think the reason is they crapped this movie out in 6 months. The first one came out in 1990, and then this one came out in 1991. And it's surprising with how good some of the stuff in this movie was. Looking into it, the practical effects.
Oh yeah, love practical effects.
Yeah, they got Jim Henson, his whole, I didn't even realize that it lined up to when Jim Henson died. At the very beginning of the movie, it's in memory of Jim Henson.
Right. I remember that now. Yeah.
Yeah, and that is one thing that I'll say about this movie versus even the modern, I'm not talking about the animated one, but the one that came out a few years ago with Megan Fox as April O'Neil, which, god damn it, why did Hollywood do that?
Look how they massacred my boy.
Practical effects always stand the test of time.
Oh yeah, look at the villains from Secret of the Ooze, Taka and
Razor, yeah.
Yeah, they're not in the cartoons, they're not in any other media except for this movie as far as I know.
Yeah.
And, they're iconic to the film. They're,
No, because they look great because it was Henson.
Oh yeah.
Henson, stuff that he did looked better 50 years ago than what modern CG does half the time. Henson was magic. So kind of diving into the plot a bit, and I'll go through it very quick. The first movie, ended with, technically they say Splinter killing Shredder, but really it was Casey Jones killed Shredder. With the whole oops, pushing the garbage button, the compactor, and then, but they knew where, the Turtles were living. So this movie kind of starts with this awkward, whole sequence that everybody in New York's eating pizza for some reason. Every single person is just panning over the entire streets of New York, and everyone has the way better pizza. I lived in New York. It's way better pizza than you would get in Manhattan.
Well, you have to remember this was before, veganism was really taking off, so everyone in New York really was eating pizza all the time. That was
there's still a lot of papaya dogs in New York back then. There would have to be at least one person sucking down a cheap, shitty papaya dog.
Well, yeah, but that's on the corner, you're running to your job, you got to grab a hot dog or something.
Yeah, that's true.
But, you know, if you have time, you get a pizza. That's just the fact.
And it's like the cheesiest pizza ever. And I will say the one thing about there was one thing about this movie in that opening sequence that was better than the first movie, and that's that they didn't have the contract with Domino's. Because the least believable thing in the first movie, which was a movie about mutant turtles doing ninja, fighting, the least believable thing was residents of New York eating Domino's.
That's probably true.
Yeah.
Everyone has their own favorite pizza place, and they will fight you over it.
Original Ray's on Ralph Avenue in Brooklyn.
Yeah, and, you just don't do the chain restaurants.
No, like, occasionally, the worst slice of pizza that I had the entire time I lived in New York was from a Papa John's. I got food poisoning, and it was opened up to make fun of Papa John's, I think.
See, why would you even do that to yourself? You're in New York.
I was broke, and it was open and cheap. They were doing dollar slices.
I mean, you couldn't have found a better dollar slice.
Dollar slices are always bad, even in New York. There was a place near where I worked that did dollar slices that tasted like Lunchables crust with ketchup on it.
No, well, that's just sad.
It was sad. But getting into the plot, we open with there's like a robbery of some kind, and this pizza delivery driver is getting attacked. For some reason, Casey Jones isn't there anymore, and he was replaced with an Asian pizza delivery driver that's really good at karate. And the turtles come in and use yo-yos and stuff to fight them.
I love that whole scene. They're basically a toy store?
Yeah, it was a toy store, and they're using the toys to fight.
Yeah.
That scene probably made me obsessed with yo-yos. I got in trouble, I remember, as a kid with my parents because Michelangelo does, he's like, you guys want to see a trick? Around the world, and he spins the yo-yo hitting them. I literally got grounded as a kid for doing that shit, telling my friends, you guys want to see a trick, and doing the around the world like a dumbass and hitting my friends with it. Actually, it was probably my brother, because my friends I usually didn't do, but my older brothers, I was the youngest, so I was the asshole. The turtles in this entire movie don't use their weapons, I noticed, except for the staff, blunt weapons. I think they wanted to reduce the rating, unlike the first one, which had an edge. Still not sure where Casey Jones is, and the kid is very good at karate. Something I will say, we looked into it, the one that plays, Kano, I think's his name, or the pizza delivery driver, he's a professional kickboxer that's, done UFC and shit, and, a ton of stunt work. And, Felicia and I recently watched the Power Rangers movie, and outside of the practical effects, the one thing that I noticed about this movie, despite being in heavy fucking costumes, the martial arts is sound in these movies.
Yeah.
It's a lot of, it's less flashy than a lot of movies. There's a lot of crescent kicks, which aren't, practical, but they look cool as shit, and they're far more practical than, Power Rangers just doing constant backflips and doing moves that don't make any goddamn sense.
Yeah, I know some of the, they hired extremely good stuntmen, and I know that something about the Jim Henson Workshop went out of their way to make sure that the costumes were flexible and comfortable.
Yeah.
Or things like that.
Well, yeah, and they got, for this movie, they decided all the celebrities are gone. Corey Feldman's not one of the turtles. It's literally just Henson Workshop people. Weird fact, the guy who was doing Splinter was Elmo.
Oh,
the guy that played Elmo was Master Splinter.
I had no idea.
Yeah, it's the weirdest thing. Just looking up stuff. Felicia looks a lot of stuff up for me while I'm watching these movies. She's like, well, that's weird. So yeah, getting back to, the plot. They rescue this kid. They leave all ninja style. They're living at April O'Neil's now. She's clearly annoyed with them because they're leaving a mess, but Splinter's the only one that's taking a hint of, oh, we'll leave soon, The turtles don't understand why, And then Splinter was seeing a news report, and there's some scientist, and April's, interviewing him, and it's this chemical company that's doing all this work to dispose of chemicals, and they wonder why Splinter's upset because he's been meditating, but it's the chemical company that made the Ooze, that created the turtles, and then all of a sudden Shredder's back for some reason. Doesn't make any goddamn sense that he's back, because literally in the first movie he fell 10 stories into a garbage truck and had the compactor hit.
It will without honor.
Oops!
But he's got like a scar on his face now, and his armor was a little dinged up because that's what a trash compactor, like an industrial trash compactor, would do to you. And now he's just out for revenge. He's like his, right-hand man, which is the only original cast member, I think, is like his right hand. Randomly, his right-hand man, who was way too intense from the first movie, is like the only original cast member they got. He's like, do you want to rebuild the foot? And he's like, no, I want revenge. So he kidnaps the scientist and makes him make like a mutant wolf and snapping turtle, Toka and Razor. The scientist purposely makes them really fucking stupid. Like, he's like, oh, well, the scientist is like, they're super strong, they're just babies still, but he even admits to the turtles later, he's like, nah, I made them idiots, That goes on to, like, they beat the crap out of the turtles get out of there. There's some stuff with, like, Raphael being an asshole and, like, them getting a new base.
Well, he's always been a loner, even, like, in the comics and stuff.
Yeah.
That's always been his shtick.
He's like, hey, I'm gonna wander off and do some other shit. And, of course, he gets captured, which I think that happens in the first movie also, where he gets, captured and gets his ass kicked. But they have to do that. And then it goes to them, like, working with the scientists to figure out how can we beat Toka and Razor. They come up with, like, some chemical that's gonna reverse the mutation. And, of course, like, Leonardo, I think, is the smart one that's helping the scientist out. But
Donatello is usually the scientist.
It's Donatello. You see, I'm glad you're here. You know the names better than I do. I'm a Michelangelo guy. That's the only one I care about. But, like, Michelangelo, who's usually the idiots, because they're all like, well, how are we going to make them eat this stuff? And he's like, well, I got an idea. So they show up to the fight, like, this ambush with donuts. And instead of, like, Shredder stopping his creations from eating donuts, he's like, well, fuck it. What's the harm that can do? So they eat a couple of the donuts. Then the best scene in the goddamn movie happens, because they only got him to eat one donut, so it's taking forever to take effect. They knock them through the wall of a dance club, and Vanilla Ice is performing.
The real star of the movie.
Yeah, the reason why they fired all of the high-paid actors is like, well, shit, it's 1991, we need Vanilla Ice.
Go ninja, go ninja, go. Go ninja, go ninja, go. Go ninja, go ninja, go.
And instead of being freaked out, these turtles are, like, fighting, he starts breaking out ninja rap. Which one? Vanilla Ice was not a good enough rapper to just be, like, come up with some shit on the fly, let's be honest.
He had, like, that one song, wasn't even an original song exactly. Got sued over it, and then it's like, we need Vanilla Ice to make a rap song for us.
Yeah, exactly.
And he uses 2 words.
Ninja. Well, he's got lyrics in the song that for some reason know about the turtles' backstory. I'm just thinking to myself, how the hell do you know this? So they, like, fight Toka and Razor. They gotta hold them down and spray, like, a fire extinguisher into their mouth because it's like, oh, CO2 will speed up the process. And turns them into an adorable puppy, and probably something that's far more dangerous to have in a nightclub than a mutant, which is a snapping turtle. Like, they're like, oh, they're cute. And, like, have you ever been around a snapping turtle? That thing's more dangerous than the mutant.
いきますよ。1, 2, 3. Whoa.
Oh yeah, they're nasty little buggers.
Yeah, I had a snapping turtle in Animal Crossing, and I put him in my bathroom and referred to him as Dick Biter. Because just, like, that's what a snapping turtle in your bathroom would probably do. Just go straight in and just clip it off. Yeah.
Hachi machi.
Yeah, there's some, I was always disappointed that they didn't just go ahead and do Bebop and Rocksteady.
Yeah, I think that's what they did instead, was Toka and Razor.
Yeah, it's like there was the perfect opportunity to, like, introduce them, but I don't know why they made original characters.
I would like to think that they're sitting in a room with, like, the Henson workshop, and they're like, okay, here's Bebop and Rocksteady from the cartoons and from the comics. Can you do this with this budget? And Henson was just like, no. And he's like, I can give you a wolf and a snapping turtle. That's the best I can do.
Yeah, it's just, I never quite got that, but, they did weird things in the 90s.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at, like, the Mario Brothers movie, they did all sorts of
That's
random
getting
stuff that had nothing to do with...
That's getting reviewed eventually. We are definitely getting the Mario Brothers.
You have to. That's,
yeah.
One
of the most terrible and glorious things to come out of the 90s.
Oh yeah, it's I want to see a movie about the making of that movie.
Yeah, I would watch that. It's the worst thing John Leguizamo's ever been in.
Oh yeah. It's the worst thing anyone who had any part of that movie had ever been in.
Yeah, but we'll talk about that at another later
Yeah.
date. I'll probably pull you in for that.
Yeah, but like it still had like the practical effects and stuff. But it just took a weird right turn, and that's something I've always associated with the two movies. It's practical effects and just weird changes like that.
Yeah, they did a lot of weird things. Now, at the end of this, when they beat Toka and Razor, it leads to like one of the coolest things ever, which is Shredder drinking a vial of the ooze and becoming Super Shredder. What didn't make sense is his goddamn armor grew. Like, how did drinking the ooze make his armor cooler? And then suddenly he went from being played by a Japanese guy to Kevin Nash, the wrestler. Like, he's just like, well, I'm Kevin Nash now.
Well, I mean, if I drink enough ooze, maybe I turn into Kevin Nash.
I think that's how Kevin Nash became Kevin Nash.
He was probably just some other guy, then just got it,
He's like someone, like, just an office worker, and one day he just drinks some ooze, and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna be on WWF.
I imagine that's how all the wrestlers get there.
Just ooze.
Just, they drink some of that chili sauce, and next thing you know, they got all the muscles and...
There's no way,
Urge to
looking at a shirtless Hulk Hogan, there's no way that he wasn't a mutant. I mean, the guy has skin of a microwaved hot dog.
It's true.
Yeah. God rest his soul. I think he's still alive, though.
He's still alive, but,
But, we know. But yeah, instead of doing an epic showdown, though, when you get Super Shredder, we're like, yeah, we're gonna get a cool fight. He just starts, like, knocking a bridge down. And, like, collapses on him, and the turtles are just like, well, we're turtles, like... How is knocking a bridge on top of us? Like, we can just jump in the water, bro. And that's, like, how the movie pretty much ends. And, like, also, like, my thought was, well, it's like, well, they're setting it up for a third one, because if regular Shredder wasn't killed by a trash compactor, then how is Super Shredder going to be killed by a wooden bridge falling on him? And then, the third movie happens and Shredder's not in it. So, it's a big disappointment there.
I don't know what they were thinking with that third movie. I think they just figured they could just slap the turtles on anything and make a fortune.
I wonder if the Turtles in Time video game came out before. I'd have to research, and they were like, well, we need turtles in time travel.
I think it came out after, actually.
May have. I don't know.
I really don't know. I haven't looked at it.
They wanted a time travel movie. The third one was terrible. I will not be reviewing it, because this, it's too much.
You have standards.
We have standards on this channel. I already had to watch that freaking Kangaroo Ninja movie.
No.
Warriors of Virtue. I still hate you for that, Larry. You're watching this, and I know you are. You made me watch that. And now we're gonna have to watch the sequel to that to punish you.
There's a sequel to that?
Yes.
What the hell?
No. I know. It's bad. But, like, yeah, like, getting into it, like, after that, they all just party. They're down in the sewer, and Splinter makes a joke. Not like, I don't even know what the joke was.
Oh. Damn it, I forget what it was.
Felicia, edit in the joke.
Eric! Like...
And keep this part of me telling you to edit it in. But yeah, but then he goes, I made another funny, and if you hadn't, like, remembered the movie from a year ago, that wouldn't make sense, because he made, the end line of the first movie is like, I made a funny, ha ha ha, and then it's like, I made another funny, ha ha. But yeah, like, and it's a good movie. Like, it got through all that. Talking through it again, like, cool moments of the movie again. Things that held up, practical effects, things that were very dated and cheesy. Vanilla Ice. He was always terrible. I don't know what we were thinking in the 90s. But then again, the dance scene and the fighting's cool. The two biggest irks I had, even as a kid, and that I still have, are one, they don't use their weapons in the damn movie. I don't know why. The first movie they did, they cursed they used their weapons. They don't use their weapons, probably to get the rating down.
Well, in the cartoon and stuff, the Foot Clan became like robots.
Yeah.
So you could like stab them and blow them up and stuff.
Yeah.
And with deadly sharp weapons, you can't you can't give kids the impression that you can just go to town on somebody with a sword.
It's funny. He's got, like, the turtle. He has his swords on his back, and he never pulls them.
Well, Yeah, I mean, they're probably sewn into the costume.
Yeah, they're just sewn into the costume. And, like, it doesn't even make sense with Raphael, because the first one, he's got sais, and they can stab, but, like, most sais are blunt. Like, so just give him the blunt ones that he can just smack people with.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like, it sounds like you went to town on your brother with a yo-yo because of this movie.
Yeah, like...
What if they pulled his nunchucks out? Would you have gone to town on your brother with nunchucks?
Hachi machi.
I'm not gonna say that hasn't happened.
There you go.
You probably know already that I have a pair of them somewhere. I was looking for them. Again, I was the youngest. Therefore, the asshole.
But yeah, they're just trying to be responsible for the kids.
Yeah,
a little bit.
They're making it better for the children.
I haven't really watched the new. There's a new one that came out recently that I haven't watched. The Mutant Mayhem. It looks fun, but I'm gonna wait for to watch it on streaming.
I've been hesitant. Rob's been trying to get me to go see it, and I don't want to take. It looks fun, but I don't want to take another hit to my childhood.
Yeah, and like I watched part of the Michael Bay one.
Yeah,
and it just didn't have the same soul. There's just something magic about like '90s Turtles, where even like Secret of the Ooze is pretty good, even with all of its weird flaws and characteristics.
yeah. Even though it's like so much cheesier than the first one, it's still a good movie. Like, it's still a fun movie. And as a kid, you know, you got hyper and you wanted to do the ninja movie, you know, moves, and you wanted like all the toys. You know, I wanted to be like Michelangelo and say everything was radical.
Oh yeah, everything was radical back then.
We missed the 90s.
Some of it was tubular and groovy, occasionally gnarly.
Occasionally, yes.
Yeah.
But, like, in general, though, it was, you know, a solid movie. Watching it again, I would say, and I think I got off track saying initially, because that was one of my biggest hangups. My other big hangup is replacing Casey Jones. Because I loved Casey Jones as a character. I don't know why they got rid of him and replaced... Kano was good, don't get me wrong, but getting rid of Casey Jones was stupid. I still don't even know the actor that played him. He looked like, you know, Wish.com Bill Pullman. I think that's an accurate description of the actor that played Casey Jones in the first movie.
Yeah, he was. I don't really know much about the guy, but you know, he did an okay Casey Jones. I had no complaints.
It was just weird how much he looked like Bill Pullman, and I looked it up and I'm like, no, that's not Bill Pullman. He's not even related. It was just weird. But like rewatching it, I'm not gonna give it the perfect 5 out of 5 that I did as a kid, but I'm still gonna give it like a 4.5 out of 5. Still a great movie. Still think it holds up. How about you, Phil?
Yeah, I'd give it about a 4. You know, it's by no means a perfect movie, but if you've got the Turtles in your heart and you grew up with them, this is, you know, you don't need me to tell you that this is, you know, a great Ninja Turtles movie.
Yeah, and if you have turtles in your heart, you might want to see a doctor. That sounds like a serious problem. I know, that was a lame joke.
It was lame, but I approve.
Yes. Well, thank you all for watching. Thank you for joining me, Phil. If you liked this video, please give us a like and a subscribe. And please comment what video you'd like to see us review next. Thank you all. Bye.